Welcome to the deep dive, where we take on that overwhelming flood of information out there and turn it into something you can actually use.
Potent, digestible knowledge. That's the goal.
Exactly. And today, we are tackling a topic that is, well, it's pretty much the universal dream in personal finance, right? Earning money while you sleep.
Passive income. It's a term that gets thrown around so much.
It really does. It's almost become this myth. But we're going to ground it in reality today. We have a really specific source in front of us. It's a list, a comprehensive one, titled 15 Passive Income Ideas for 2026.
Right. So it's very forward-looking.
Very. And our mission today is pretty simple. We're going to cut through all the hype around these 15 ideas, break them down, and give you, our listener, a clear, actionable roadmap.
Basically, which of these are actually simple, which ones can scale, and what's most relevant for right now.
Yeah, whether you're a student looking for side income, a total beginner, or, just really curious about where the opportunities are heading.
And I think this list is fantastic for that because it covers the whole modern spectrum. It's not just the old buy a rental property advice.
No, not at all.
We're seeing things here that involve AI, the creator economy, traditional finance. It's all in there.
But before we even start, the source material makes one thing incredibly clear. A big warning label at the top.
Yes, and it's the most important takeaway, really. True passive income.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen instantly. It's not a lottery ticket.
Right.
There's always a set-it phase, a period of, significant, consistent effort up front. You have to build the machine first before you can forget it and let it run.
Okay, so we're not looking for get-rich-quick schemes. We're looking for high-return construction projects.
That's a great way to put it.
So with 15 different ideas, we need a structure. How are we going to organize this so it makes sense?
We've broken them down into 3 major themes. It helps group them by the type of work you have to do up front.
Okay.
First, we're going to tackle the digital creation economy. This is all about the create once, sell forever model.
Create once, sell forever. I like that.
Then second, we'll move into leveraging financial and physical assets. This is more about making money or things you already own work for you.
Got it. So using what you have.
And finally, we'll get into audience building, influence, and system automation. This is where things get really modern, maybe a little more complex, but the payoff can be huge.
Perfect. That sounds like a solid plan. All right, let's dive in, starting with that digital gold rush you mentioned. The world where today's effort can literally make you money forever. So this first section, the digital creation economy, it's pretty clear why the source spends so much time here.
Oh, absolutely. The leverage is just insane.
What do you mean by leverage?
I mean, the cost of distribution is practically zero, and your potential market is, well, it's the entire world, instantly.
Right, you don't have to worry about shipping or inventory or any of those logistical nightmares.
Exactly. The investment is your time, mostly, not a huge amount of capital. And once you build that digital thing, that asset, the cost to sell the second one or the 1,000th one, it's nothing.
Okay, so let's get into the very first idea from the source, which they frame as the most fundamental one, the power of digital products.
This is the purest form of that create once, sell forever mantra. We're talking about things like ebooks, specialized templates, digital planners, maybe even digital art.
And for a beginner, where's the best place to start with that? Because digital product feels so broad.
The source really points to templates as the sweet spot. Think about it, a specialized Notion template for a small business, or a really detailed budgeting spreadsheet for a specific profession, or even those, beautiful digital planners people use on their iPads.
You keep using that word specialized.
Right.
Why is that so important? I mean, if I make a generic weekly planner, won't more people be able to use it?
That's the trap everyone falls into. The source brings this upmarket saturation. It's a huge problem.
Okay.
If you search for a weekly planner on a site like Etsy, you'll get, millions of results. It's impossible to stand out. The profit on those generic things is pennies.
So you can't compete on volume.
No. You win by solving a very specific problem for a very specific person. Instead of a generic budget spreadsheet, you create a budget template for freelance videographers tracking equipment depreciation.
Wow, okay, that is specific.
It is, but the person looking for that is willing to pay $20, maybe $30 for it because it solves their exact problem. It saves them hours of work, and suddenly you're not competing with the 99-cent templates anymore.
And your marketing becomes easier because you know exactly who you're talking to.
Infinitely easier.
But, okay, let's talk about the passive part. You build the template, you put it online, Is that it? You still have to promote it, don't you?
You absolutely do. The profit margins are great, maybe 80, 90%, but the marketing is that ongoing, consistent effort we talked about.
So where does the passivity kick in?
It kicks in when you build automated systems to do the marketing for you. You set up evergreen Pinterest pins that drive traffic for years. You optimize your product titles for search on whatever platform you're using. You build a simple email sequence. A single, well-made pin on Pinterest can be making you sales 3 years from now with zero extra work.
That makes sense. It's front-loading the marketing work, too.
Exactly. You build a marketing machine right after you build the product machine. Okay, so that's digital products. This next one feels like a big step up in terms of effort. The knowledge economy. Teaching what you know. This is about selling online courses. It is a step up, a big one.
And the hurdle everyone seems to hit immediately is, I'm not an expert. Who would pay to learn from me?
And this is where the source offers this really liberating piece of advice. You don't have to be the world-renowned #1 expert in your field.
Okay.
You just need to be, say, 6 months ahead of your student, or even just 3 steps ahead. If you just figured out how to do something complicated, that journey is incredibly valuable to someone who's just starting.
So if I spent the last 3 months really mastering, say, Facebook ads for local coffee shops, I don't need a PhD in marketing to sell a beginner's course on that topic.
Precisely. In fact, the source argues it's often better because you still remember the struggles. You remember what it was like to be a beginner. The so-called curse of knowledge hasn't set in yet.
That's a really interesting point. And the platforms make it easy, right? Like Udemy, Skillshare.
They make the hosting and payment part simple, yes. Udemy, Skillshare, Teachable. You can even use YouTube and then sell supplementary materials.
But let's compare the effort. A template might take, what, a weekend? Of course, seems massive.
It is. A good template might be 20 hours of work, a high-quality online course. You could be looking at 100, 200, even 300 hours for scripting, recording, editing, creating the worksheets. It's a project.
And what about the marketing for something like that? It's a high-ticket item? People are just going to buy a $500 course from a stranger.
And that's the critical difference. With a course, you're not just selling information, you're selling a transformation. And that requires trust.
So how do you build that trust passively?
Well, if you just put your course on a platform like Udemy, they'll do some of the marketing, but they can take a huge cut of your revenue, sometimes 50% or more.
Wow.
The truly passive income comes from building your own audience first. An email list, a YouTube channel, a blog. You give away tons of valuable free content to build authority, and then you sell your course directly to that audience.
So the passive sales of the course are only possible after the very active work of building an audience and authority.
There it is. It's the ultimate pay now or pay much more later scenario. The time commitment is enormous upfront, but the payoff can be a 6-figure asset that sells on autopilot for years.
Okay, that's a really important distinction. Now let's talk about something that feels like a middle ground. It's fascinating. The source calls it low-content publishing.
Idea number 11, yeah.
No.
This one is a perennial favorite in the passive income world.
We're talking about simple books, right? Not novels, but things like journals, notebooks, coloring book. Exactly. And the magic ingredient here is a platform, Amazon's KDP or Kindle Direct Publishing. And the key concept is print on demand. Can you break that down?
Print on demand, or POD, means you hold zero inventory, ever. You design the book's cover and the interior pages, and you upload those files to Amazon. That's it. The book doesn't physically exist until a customer actually clicks buy.
And then Amazon prints one copy and ships it directly to them.
They handle the printing, the payment, the shipping, the customer service, all of it, globally.
So your entire job is just design and finding a good idea.
Design and niche identification, yes. And again, just like with digital templates, the niche is everything.
Give me an example. The coloring book market seems flooded.
It is. If you make a generic animal coloring book, you'll be buried. But what about a mandala coloring book for physical therapists to give patients? Or a Dungeons & Dragons campaign journal for beginner dungeon masters?
Ah, okay. So you're solving a very specific need again.
Always. Your job is to create a high-quality, visually appealing interior that serves a purpose for a specific group of people. The source really emphasizes how beginner-friendly this is because you're leveraging the biggest e-commerce machine on the planet.
It feels like the physical version of selling a digital template.
That is a perfect analogy. The passive part is, checking your sales reports, maybe tweaking keywords in your listing, but the core design work is a one-time thing.
All right, let's group a few ideas together now because they feel related. This is where things get really 2026. We're talking about selling micro assets, these tiny reusable components.
Yes, this is a huge trend. The source group's licensing media, which is idea 10, AI-generated music, idea 9, and audio assets, idea 15.
Why is this strategy so important right now?
Because the demand for content components is exploding. Every business, every YouTuber, every podcaster needs photos, video clips, background music, sound effects every single day. The volume is just massive. So let's start with the most traditional one, licensing media, stock photos and videos. If I take a decent photo of, I don't know, a laptop on a desk, how does that make me money while I sleep? You upload it to a stock platform. Think Shutterstock, Adobe Stock, Getty Images. Then, every time a designer or a marketer downloads your photo to use in an ad or on a website, you get a small royalty.
How small are we talking?
It can be very small, maybe 25 cents, maybe $1. The key here is volume and utility.
So one photo isn't going to do anything?
No, you need a library of hundreds, if not thousands, of assets, and they can't just be pretty pictures of sunsets. The real money, as the source points out, is in commercial use cases.
Like what?
Like a high-quality video clip of a diverse team collaborating in a modern office, or a photo of a server rebooting in a data center. Things businesses need for their marketing materials. It's more about being an industrial documentarian than a fine artist. Okay, that makes sense. It's about utility. Now, for the really modern twist on this, AI-generated music. The source says this is a huge 2026 trend.
It is, and it's fascinating because it completely lowers the barrier to entry. You no longer need to be a trained musician.
How does it work?
You use one of these new AI music tools and you give it prompts. Things like upbeat, corporate, 120 beats per minute, needs to loop seamlessly, and the AI will generate a unique royalty-free track. You can then upload that track to platforms that serve as YouTubers and content creators.
Okay, hold on. The alarm bells are going off in my head. If an AI generates the music, who owns the copyright? This sounds like a legal nightmare that could just erase your passive income overnight.
And that is the absolute critical point a beginner needs to understand. It's the Wild West right now, legally.
So how do you protect yourself? The source is very clear on this. You must use AI tools that specifically grant you a commercial license for the output. They need to guarantee that what they generate is unique and cleared for you to use and sub-license.
So you can't just use any free tool you find online?
Absolutely not. You could be infringing on someone's copyright without even knowing it. The effort here shifts from musical composition to due diligence, to IP vetting and platform management.
You're managing legal risk as much as you're creating music. That's a key takeaway. Okay, and rounding out this group, we have audio assets. Simple things like voice lines or sound effects.
Yeah, idea 15. This is so often overlooked. Think about all the little sounds in apps, video games, or corporate videos. A swoosh noise, a specific UI click, an ambient soundscape of a busy cafe.
So if I have a decent microphone, I could just record a bunch of those.
You could. Record a clean asset once, categorize it properly, upload it to a sound effects marketplace, and you're done. The demand for unique, high-quality sounds is constant. The payments are tiny, but they add up over a huge library.
So the big picture for this whole section is, we're building these huge libraries of tiny reusable digital parts.
Yes. And the passivity comes from the sheer volume of assets you have working for you 24/7, and increasingly from using AI to help you automate the creation of those assets. It's like running a tiny digital factory.
Okay, one last idea in the creator economy section, and this one feels like it's for the pros. Specialized digital templates, specifically app or software templates.
Yeah, this is idea 14. This one definitely requires a higher level of skill up front.
You either need to know how to code, or what's the alternative?
Or, and this is the 2026 angle, you need to get really, really good at what's called prompt engineering with AI code generator.
You could define prompt engineering for me in this context.
It's the skill of talking to an AI in a way that gets you clean, usable, specific code.
Yeah.
Code that a human developer can actually trust and build on.
And why would a developer pay for that?
Because you're selling them time. A professional developer will happily pay a few $100s for a well-designed, functional template for, say, a common app framework. It saves them 40 hours of boring, repetitive setup work.
So you're selling efficiency at a very high price point.
At a very high margin. The template just sits on a marketplace, maybe for a platform like Webflow or Bubble, and the price point is high enough that you only need a few sales a month to make a really meaningful passive income.
So high skill investment up front, but the resulting asset is incredibly valuable and passive.
Exactly. It's the peak of the digital product ladder.
Wow. Okay, that's a massive first section. We've covered 7 different ways to build something from scratch and have it pay you back forever. Let's shift gears now and talk about using what you already have.
Right. So this next section is a total change of pace. We're moving away from active creation
And more into putting existing assets to work.
Exactly. Getting your money or your property, whether it's physical or digital, to generate income for you without you having to, create something new every day. This brings us into some of the more traditional ideas of passive income. Let's start with the 2 big financial ones from the source. Investing in index funds, which is idea 7, and dividend stocks, idea 8. Yeah, these are the bedrock of long-term wealth building. The source describes index funds as slow, steady, and low risk.
And what does that mean practically? When you buy an index fund, what are you buying?
You're buying a tiny, tiny piece of hundreds of companies all at once, like the S&P 500, for example. You're not betting on Apple or Google to succeed. You're betting on the entire U.S. economy to grow over the long term.
And the passivity here is almost absolute, right?
It is. The effort is putting the money in and then the discipline to not touch it, to just let it grow through compound interest and capital appreciation over decades. Your only job is to stay invested, even when the market gets scary.
It's important to distinguish something here, though. Index funds are more about wealth building than immediate income.
That's a critical distinction, yes. This is capital appreciation. The value of your investment grows. It's not necessarily putting cash in your pocket every month. It's for your future self.
Which contrasts really nicely with the next idea, dividend stocks. The source calls this a great long-term income idea.
Because that's exactly what it is. This is the true cash flow machine of the stock market.
How does it work?
You buy shares in stable, mature, profitable companies. Think big banks, utility companies, consumer staples, and they literally share their profits with you. Every 3 months, usually they deposit cash directly into your brokerage account just for being an owner.
And for someone listening who wants to maximize that passive income, what's the one strategy they absolutely need to know about?
They have to know about DRIPs, dividend reinvestment plans.
Okay, what's a DRP?
It's an option you can turn on with your broker. It automatically takes the cash dividend you receive and uses it to buy more shares of that same stock, even fractional shares.
And that creates a snowball effect.
It supercharges the compounding. You get more shares, which means your next dividend payment is bigger, which then buys you even more shares. It's not just passive income, it's passive acceleration, a really powerful hands-off tool.
That's fantastic. And quickly, on the practical side, the source mentions taxes. What's the key thing to know there?
Yeah, not all dividends are created equal in the eyes of the taxman. You want to look for qualified dividends because they're taxed at the lower long-term capital gains rate. Non-qualified dividends get taxed at your normal, higher income tax rate. It's a small detail that can make a huge difference to your net passive income over time. Great tip. Okay, let's pivot from purely financial assets to something that bridges the gap between old school real estate and the digital world. The source calls it the new real estate, digital assets. Idea number 6, I love this one. It's about owning a valuable piece of online real estate and renting it out.
So instead of a storefront on Main Street, you own a high traffic spot online.
Exactly. The assets here could be a really good domain name, banner ad space on a high-traffic website, or even an ad spot in a popular newsletter.
Give me a concrete example. How do you rent out a domain name? That sounds abstract.
Okay, so let's say years ago you bought the domain seattlecoffeeroasters.com. It's premium, right? A new coffee company wants to launch in Seattle, but they can't afford to buy that domain from you for, say, $50,000.
Okay.
So you offer to rent it to them. For $500 a month on a 12-month contract, they can point that domain to their website. Your effort is just negotiating the contract and keeping the domain registered. It's highly passive.
That's clever. And what about the newsletter ad spots? How is the rent determined there?
It's all about the audience, the size, and more importantly, the engagement of your subscribers. If you have a newsletter with 5,000 readers and they're all data scientists, that is a very valuable audience.
Right, because they're a specific high-earning group.
Exactly. So you can charge a sponsor a high CPM, that's cost per mil, or cost per 1,000 subscribers, to get their message in front of them. You do the hard work of building that audience once, and then you just passively collect rent on their attention every single week.
And the great thing is, unlike a physical property, there's no leaky roof to fix.
True. But you do have what you might call digital maintenance.
What do you mean?
You have to keep your website's SEO strong, or keep your newsletter engagement high. If your traffic drops, the value of your digital real estate drops with it. So it's not zero work, but it's different work.
That makes sense. Okay, let's bring it back to the physical world for a moment with an idea the source says is getting more popular in 2026, local physical rentals.
Idea 12, yep. This is about renting out your own tools and equipment locally.
And this is becoming a bigger trend because of new apps and platforms.
Entirely because of them. These new platforms handle the trust, the insurance, the payments, all the hard stuff that used to make this impossible.
But is it really passive? I mean, renting out my drill or my expensive camera, I have to physically hand it over to someone? That takes time.
You're right, it's semi-passive, we have to be clear about that. But it's perfect for leveraging expensive, underutilized assets.
What do you mean by that?
If you own a $3,000 camera kit, or a drone, or a specialized power tool that you only use 20% of the time, the other 80% of the time, that item is just sitting there depreciating, losing value.
Right.
Renting it out turns that depreciating asset into an income-producing asset. Okay, but let's talk about the biggest fear. What if they break it or steal it? And how do you avoid spending all your time coordinating pickups and drop-offs? So the platforms are the answer to the first problem. Companies like Fat Llama, they provide insurance against theft and damage. That's the huge risk mitigator.
And the time suck.
You have to systematize it. You set firm pickup windows like between 5 and 6 p.m. on weekdays. You use the platform's automated booking. And you should probably bake a small handling fee into your rental price to compensate you for that 15 minutes of your time.
So you're basically outsourcing the risk to the platform and paying yourself for the small bit of active work involved.
Exactly. When you do that, the income generated by the asset itself working for you is still predominantly passive. It's a really smart way to monetize things you already own that are just sitting idle.
Monetizing dormancy. I like that.
That's a great frame for it.
All right, we're heading into our final section now. And these ideas are really at the cutting edge. They're all about leveraging an audience, the currency of attention, or building advanced systems that do the work for you.
Yeah, this is where the potential returns can be the highest, but it also demands a more sophisticated setup or a really strong connection with an audience. Let's start with what the source calls great for beginners. It's the simplest form of audience monetization, affiliate marketing. Idea number 5. And it's great for beginners because you have zero product overhead. You don't create anything, you don't manage inventory, you don't deal with customer service. You're just a referral source.
So I share products I like, and if someone buys through my special link, I get a cut.
That's it. And the passivity is extremely high. You could write one good blog post reviewing a product or create one helpful YouTube video, and that piece of content could be earning you commissions 5 years from now.
But in 2026, is just linking to Amazon still the way to go? The commissions there seem pretty low.
That's the key insight. Amazon is easy, but the commissions are tiny, like 1 to 4%. The real money is in high-ticket niches, such as software as a service, or SaaS products, or high-end online courses. Think about it. If you refer someone to a $1,000 course that has a 30% commission, that's $300 in your pocket from one click. You'd have to sell thousands of dollars worth of books on Amazon to make that. That's a huge difference. And what about the ethics of it, the transparency?
It's non-negotiable. The FTC in the US requires you to clearly disclose that you're using affiliate links, but it's more than just a legal thing. It's a trust thing.
Right.
Your audience is smart. They know what's going on. Being upfront about it actually builds trust and makes them more likely to use your links because they know you're being honest.
That's a great point. Okay, so from that one-time transaction model, let's look at a recurring income model, creating a paid newsletter. Idea 13. This is the holy grail for many creators. Predictable recurring revenue. You ask people to pay, say, $5 or $10 a month for your specialized, high-value content.
The example in the source was something like weekly summaries of SEC filings for biotech stocks. Very niche.
Exactly. Something that saves a specific group of professionals time or makes them money. That's what people will pay for.
But hang on. The passive alarm is going off again. If I have to write a newsletter every single week, that's a job. That's not passive.
You're right. The act of writing is active. But the source's strategy here is about maximizing the passive return on that single active effort.
What does that mean? How do you do that?
It means you never let that weekly effort live in just one place. You write the newsletter once, and then you immediately spin it off into multiple passive streams.
Okay, give me an example of that.
You take every 12 issues of your newsletter, you bundle them together, edit them slightly, and release it as a $10 ebook on Amazon KDP. That's idea 1.
Oh, okay.
You take the data and charts from your newsletter and turn them into a premium template that you sell. That's also idea 1. You embed your best high-commission affiliate links in the content. That's idea 5.
So one piece of active work, the weekly writing, is feeding 3 or 4 different passive income machines.
Exactly. It transforms that active labor into leveraged passive growth.
Yeah.
That's the smart way to do it. That makes so much more sense. Okay, finally, we've arrived at what the source calls a massive, fast-growing trend for 2026. The future of content. YouTube automation. Idea number 3. This one is pure system management.
And the whole premise is that you can have a successful YouTube channel without ever showing your face or even using your own voice.
Right. You're leveraging YouTube's massive ad revenue potential, but you remove yourself from the creative execution entirely.
Break down the process for me. How does that work?
Okay, so you, the channel owner, you do the high-level strategy. You research niches with high demand and low competition. Then you outsource everything else.
Everything.
Everything. You hire a scriptwriter. You hire a voiceover artist, or increasingly, use a high-quality AI voice. Then you hire a video editor who takes that script and that voiceover and compiles it with stock footage, animations, and music.
So the channel owner becomes more of a producer or a project manager.
That's the perfect description. You're not the talent, you're the manager.
But that sounds really complicated for a beginner. How do you manage a whole team of freelancers without it becoming a full-time job and costing a fortune?
That is the operational challenge for sure. You use platforms like Upwork or Fiverr to find affordable talent from around the world, and you have to create very strict systems and quality checklists.
And you need a budget.
You absolutely need a budget. You might pay, say, $50 for a script, another $50 for a human voiceover, and maybe $150 for a good editor. So you're all in for $250 a video. If that video earns, say, $500 in ad revenue over its lifetime, your system is profitable.
And the passivity comes from the fact that your videos are working for you, generating ad revenue years after you've paid for them.
Years. And the key is to pick evergreen topics, things that will still be relevant in 2030. Historical mysteries, scientific explainers, animated book summaries, things that don't depend on a personality.
And you can layer other income streams on top of this.
Oh, absolutely. This is the ultimate ecosystem. You use AI-generated music for your soundtracks. That's idea 9. You put your best affiliate links in the description box. That's idea 5. It all connects.
Wow. It's really about building a media business, not just a YouTube channel. It requires real business skills.
It really does. It's about management, budgeting, and strategy, not about being a creative genius on camera.
That was an absolutely incredible deep dive. 15 different paths to passive income, all laid out for 2026. We went from things you can design in a weekend to, well, building a full-blown automated media company.
It's a really comprehensive list. And just to wrap it up, to make sure you have the big picture, it's worth quickly recapping those 3 main categories we talked about.
Yeah, let's do that. First, we had digital creation. That was all about upfront work that can scale globally. So we're talking ebooks, specialized templates, online courses, and all those little micro assets like AI music and stock photos.
Then second, we had leveraging assets. This was using capital or property you already own, index funds for that slow, steady growth, dividend stocks for actual cash flow, renting out digital real estate like domain names, and even renting out your physical tools.
And finally, that last category, automation and influence. This is where you either leverage an audience's attention or you just completely outsource the work.
Right. So that was affiliate marketing, building a recurring revenue stream with a paid newsletter, and that really sophisticated system management you need for YouTube automation.
The great thing about this list is that there's so many different ways in. You don't need $1 million to start. You don't need a fancy degree.
Not at all. You can pick a path that plays to your existing skills. If you're a good writer, maybe start a newsletter. If you're a photographer, you build a stock photo library. If you just own an expensive drone, you can start renting it out tomorrow. The source really delivers on giving you options.
But we have to come back to that one crucial warning we started with. That final thought from the source material that underpins all of this.
It's the most important part. Passive income does not happen instantly.
It's built piece by piece. It takes consistent effort, small steps, and a lot of patience. It's a marathon that starts with a sprint.
But once you build that system, once it's up and running and optimized, whether it's a dividend portfolio, a library of 1,000 digital templates, or an automated YouTube channel, the freedom it can provide is just immense.
And that brings us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Something based on everything we just explored.
Okay.
Given the huge, overwhelming presence of AI tools across so many of these ideas, AI for music, AI for code, AI for voiceovers for YouTube, what does human effort even look like in the world of passive income, say, 3 years from now?
That's a great question. If these tools get exponentially better, and they will, if they can generate the assets and even do the first pass of quality control, will that consistent effort we talked about shift entirely away from creation?
And shift towards what?
Towards being a master strategist, a prompt engineer, and, maybe most importantly, having that very human skill of just spotting the untapped niches that the machines haven't found yet. So the question to leave you with is this. What specific niche automation system could you start designing and managing today to set yourself up to be the profitable system manager of the future? A big question to think about as you start building your own machine.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.